Hi everyone! Hope you're all really well and hope you've all had a really good week. So my vlog today, I wanted to share with you my latest make, which I've been very excited about and I'm very excited to show you. So this is she. I'll try and film some little full-length snippets to show you the whole thing. But this, I've been so excited about making for ages. I think I started dreaming about this dress when I bought the pattern, which was at the Great British Sewing Bee Live, which I think was in September last year. So I've had this in my dreams for ages. So it's a hack of this dress. And in this video, I'm going to try and just give a little tiny mini tutorial on what I did. So if you want to try it yourself, then I mean, it's quite straightforward and simple, but I'll show you what I did anyway. But the pattern is this beauty, and this is a Nina Lee Q dress. So as you may be able to see, the pattern has buttons all the way down the front. So I've made a version without the buttons basically, and I've taken the hem up quite a bit, so it's just a shorter, straighter hem as well, because in the pattern it's dipped, so you can see it sort of goes down at the back. I'll try and show you stood up here as well. So the fabric for this is amazing. So it's an Atelier Brunette, and it's a double gauze. It's one of their new ones, and it has these I think I showed you the fabric in one of my videos actually. It has these little like embroidered gold random little dots all over it. So yeah, it's really lovely to wear as well. So yeah, what I did with this is I hacked the bodice so that there's no buttons up the front, it's all one piece at the front, and at the back I've got an invisible zip, so that's not in the normal pattern, but that's what I've done with mine. And I've fully lined it as well. Yeah, so the double gauze, I've never used double gauze before, so yeah, this was you know, I learned how to use this fabric, so that's good. I've learned some more skills. So what I've learned about double gauze is it's kind of, the structure of it is quite a loose weave. So I was a little bit worried about making a dress with the separate bodice and skirt, because I was worried that over time the seam line between the bodice and the skirt would sag out of shape, just because the fabric's got that little bit of movement to it. So what I did was I interfaced the whole of the bodice, not just a facing, just the whole lot is interfaced with quite a fine black interfacing, so it will just hold that, because the bodice is the bit that we need to like hold the shape and the structure. So yeah, I did that so it would just hold really nicely and give the shape and not sag or very quickly, yeah, just sag out of shape or not fit very nicely. So I have to say, this pattern I have made barely any, other than the hack, barely any amendments to fit. It's I think I cut a straight size 10 and the fit's really nice. It's quite sort of close fitting, but that's how I like. I think that's how dresses look more flattering on me anyway. So yeah, so the fit is amazing, and I love the style of this design. I love these cold shoulder sleeves. The only very tiny amendment I made was I shortened the straps, but she does say in her pattern that you might want to just base them in, try it on and test to see if you want to lengthen or shorten the straps. So yeah, I guess most people have to make that amendment anyway. So yeah, that's all I've done. So yeah, it got to, I would recommend, if you're doing this hack and you want to take the hem up, definitely choose your hem and cut at the start, because I made the dress and I just thought, well, I'll deal with the hem when I get to it, and I hung it up, and I had to do it very much by a mixture of by eye and by flat laying the dress as it was already made, flat laying it and trying to measure with a long like meter ruler to make sure all around was the same length. It was a little bit not the best. I think it looked absolutely brilliant and fine and perfect, but it was a bit of more of a drawn out process. If you just cut at the shape and length ish at the start, it would have been so much easier. It was a bit stressful as well because I didn't want a wonky hem. So yeah, I'm a little bit obsessed with this dress. One thing that annoyed me a little bit is when I cut out the straps, I ended up with some random little dots from the fabric on this strap but not on this one. I got cross with that to start with, but then maybe that's part of the charm of the dress, and it is random, so that is how it's going to look. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I'm going to wear it to my brother's wedding, so that's how much I love it. So yeah, I will just show you now how I, just a little, I don't like to call it a tutorial, I don't feel like I know enough, but I'll show you what I did anyway. Okay, so step one was to think about the front of the bodice. So here's my pattern piece. Ignore this bit that's flapping around here, that's where I cut the wrong line. So it looks like this. So step one was to arrange this so that this would be all one piece and cut out on one piece, so it was cut on the fold. So really simple way to do it is where you see on this pattern piece where the buttons and buttonholes will go, really simply just fold it on that line, and that is where you'll put your pattern piece on the fabric on the fold to cut. So yeah, just fold it, and you've got those nice lines where the little crosses are in the buttons, and just fold that. So yeah, and then that is literally all I needed to do for that. So yeah, that was the first thing. So that's the first step. Second step is thinking about how I've removed that part of the dress. So adding on seam allowance onto the back piece to allow for the invisible zip. So here's the back piece. So step two was don't cut this on the fold, so you ignore that part of the pattern, and then when you're cutting it out, add on the seam allowance. So just add on 1.5 centimetres or 5/8 of an inch, and yes, that's really simple. So ignore that, add on your seam allowance just onto that, and you can carry on the cut so it's just straight. So yeah, you can see the bottom, just cut straight and just add that on there. So that's step two, and essentially the exact same thing for your skirt. So basically, so yeah, just mirror exactly what you've done on the bodice on the skirt pieces. So again, here you can see where I folded the skirt piece along that button line, just straight down there. And again, if you're gonna take the hem or change the hem, I would recommend doing it before, at the start of the process, rather than at the end of the process like I did. So yeah, that's the next step. So say step three is to cut the skirt piece out, taking away that part, that centre part, and then cut that on the fold as you did with the bodice as well. So you've got one piece for your front of the skirt. And then step four, exactly the same as you did with the bodice. So ignore your cut on fold instruction on your pattern piece, and at that point add on your seam allowance onto there. So 1.5 centimetres, just adds that piece of fabric onto there. So that's step four. And then step five is basically follow the instructions and make the dress, but add in the invisible zip. I used a long invisible zip, I think it was like a 22-inch invisible zip, and so yeah, if you're not familiar with inserting invisible zips, then then I definitely recommend having a look online on YouTube, or By Hand London do really good tutorials on their website. I always refer to them. So if you want to check how to insert an invisible zip, yeah, check on some tutorials online, make sure you get that all right. Yeah, so that's basically it. It's dead simple, but I love the result. I love the pattern anyway. I love that, but I think finishing it like this has given it just that slightly more, I don't know, contemporary feel. So, and also I think evening-y, more like an evening wear piece. So yeah, and then also just to say that the fabric that I used with the double gauze, I had a little bit of a mare with the hemming. A lot of things that I'd read about double gauze said like double fold the hem up and then sew it in place. So I've spent a lot of time on this dress, and I wanted to do the hem justice. Like, more often than not, I will rush a hem because I'm so excited about finishing the dress. You just think, oh, I'll just top stitch it in, and that's fine. And a lot of dresses look absolutely perfect with that finish. I wanted to spend the time on getting everything perfect on this. So what I've done is I overlocked the hem and then pressed it nice and flat, so there wasn't any sort of waviness to the overlocking edge. So then single folded it up, and then I've hand stitched it with an invisible stitch in place. So I think single folding the double gauze did it the world of good. Double folding it gave it a real structural finish to the hem, and I think the fabric, it's just got this really lovely loose natural charm to it really. And I think by finishing it with the skirt bit having that lovely double gauze look to it, and then having a very straight severe hem, I just felt like that wasn't a good look. So just single folding it, just let it retain that sort of natural fall to it and movement as well. It didn't alter that too much. So I'm so happy with the finish, I can't explain. So like I said, I'm going to wear it to my brother's wedding. I'm so pleased. I hope you like it, and I hope you've liked the tutorial. It's the first ever video I've done that's like I said, I don't like calling it a tutorial. I don't feel like I know enough. But yeah, I hope you liked it anyway. So I'll see you again really soon on another vlog. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!